Sue Bartlett. Mary Ng.
Hi guys, I'm so honored to be here. My name is Mary Ng. Thank you all for coming out. I wish it was a packed house, but it's hard getting around. I wanted to talk specifically about the issues surrounding crisis intervention and my own personal experiences. How long do I have to talk? Okay, awesome. So I also wanted to hit on the body cameras and mention that the Hardesty's latest article is pointing out that the police control of body cameras, or when the evidence is entered in, or for what purposes the body camera evidence might be used, poses problems that the officers can't regulate it. It has to be with an outside body. But in terms of crisis intervention, for background, my mom is a nurse. She's frequently been a psychiatric nurse. And when I was 21, I was toppled with police because my mom thought I was weird or had a funny haircut and talked funny, or I'm too much like my dad. I don't know what the problem was, but I was totally taken off my guard. I was plowed into the ground by huge officers. I was very young and innocent at that time. And it's always informed my work in police brutality studies, because I have a very real and vivid feeling of, am I going to die? Are they going to break my bones? I feel very fortunate that tasers weren't the rage back then in the 90s, and that I've been able to repair from a lot of the police violence-induced brutality trauma that I have, which I also witnessed a lot of brutality in Nashville, Tennessee, even as a little 6-year-old child, watching officers beat black men on the middle of the road, and I felt very afraid of them. But I fell in love with a young man who has a brain injury, and I'm coming to understand that there's a high likelihood of long-term complications with his brain injury. And so for about 2 years now, I've been living in complete terror and fear that one of his many cyclical episodes will turn into a fatal interaction with police. And then when we throw into the mix family issues, I'm afraid that my family might misinterpret it, or things are going to a 911 level when I don't feel comfortable with that. Or sometimes I feel like, hey, I really need some backup. And one thing I've been thinking, I try to think legalistically, is that if I did a subpoena on Multnomah Crisis to show how many times I have tried to go a soft route towards helping my friend get care, or how many times I've taken him to a clinic, or tried to, like, whether it's like massage or sauna or some alternative therapy, my understanding is that Multnomah County does not have a chronic traumatic encephalopathy program. There's not a traumatic brain injury program. There are no resources. The healthcare is very scarce. I can't find neurologists who care. I actually had Michael Savage in the Northeast turn us down and say, oh, we don't want to treat you because of the police brutality aspects of the brain injury. So my friend came into Portland with a very severe life-threatening accident with a life flight and blinding of his left eye. He ended up being crushed under the ground within a month of being in Portland with a knee on his head. Fortunately, through his refusal to plea out, we were able to finally get it into Immergut's court, where the actual officer who had assaulted him, whose name is Karl Klundt, admitted to grinding knee into this head of this man who was in a coma, resuscitated, barely survived this childhood accident. So Immergut just gasped and tried to contain her disgust. She was formerly in the position of Amanda Marshall, and I felt like through all of this, we've struggled to have representation, get any kind of civil justice. We're struggling for healthcare, struggling for housing, struggling for family understanding. And I want to say specifically to the Black community, I've done it all for you, because I feel like these struggles are so pertinent. And every time I was, like, Ben has beautiful red hair, and I'm always like, would you even be alive if you had Black skin? Because nobody understands your disabilities, your cognitive dysfunction, and your hyperactivity. And I just want you to know we have good hearts, and I hope it works out. I hope he survives. I hope everyone's aware of people like him. I think he shares a lot in similar with the deaf community, because his communication can be quite confusing sometimes. And I just want him to survive and there to be more resources for people like him.